class, welcome back to Your Bossy Podcast. Today it is our very first episode for 2025 and we are going to start off strong. I'm going to be sharing with you guys my experiences with psychological therapy. Yes, finally, this CSA survivor has finally gotten into therapy, and after all those many tries that I've done in the past, it all failed, and finally, this is the moment where everything went smoothly, no medical issues, no complications with the clinic or whatever, nothing. Like everything was just like there was just no errors and everything went through. Finally got to the session. Yeah, so I'm going to be sharing everything. I'm going to be sharing how my sessions have been and giving you an update on my well-being and my mental health. I want to update you guys on some of the things and why it took me a whole month to get here to share this. But the main reason was I had other plans for my CSA journey update. But then, as I was in therapy, there was some things that were discussed that maybe my therapist, she was kind of saying to me that we might need to kind of wait it out a little bit or dive deeper before I do something so big in my journey. So I've decided that I'm going to take that advice. And I also was feeling like it was kind of off for me and I wasn't feeling like it was the right moment, and I was stressing about it. I was losing sleep. I was feeling anxious and it just didn't feel right to me. So I totally agree with my therapist. As you all may already know, or if you don't know, I have tried many times to get psychological therapy. As a CSA survivor, it's not easy to navigate through the things that you go through, or the things that pop up in your head, or the traumas and all that kind of stuff, all on your own. Like, it takes a lot for somebody to even, in a sense, like reach this level of forgiveness or empathy when you have faced something so traumatic like that. And I did it all on my own because I had the desire and the will to want to better myself. And I think that that's what brought me to this moment of where I'm at in my well-being and everything, and how I'm not unalive. So I give myself a lot of credit for that as well, but I have tried many times in the past to receive professional help because there are just things that professional people can give you and they can help you with, and that are things that you don't know because you don't have the education. I always wanted to do it, and I finally had everything work out for me where I was able to make it happen. And since I've been trying all my life now, remember, I had those memories and everything of my CSA trauma come back to me when I was about 15 years old. Okay, so that was like my hormonal, and I was going through it, and I wanted to seek help there then too, but of course, I was younger. I didn't know. A lot of the times in Asian households, we don't practice those kind of medical things. Like, we don't ever go to the hospital. It's just something that is just very I think we're just uneducated and we don't trust the system, things like that. But yeah, I never got the opportunity to go. And then when I became an adult, it was still very hard for me because I couldn't get medical, and I didn't want to pay for it because it was very expensive. And it just felt like my money was best used on other survival things such as like food and shelter and things like that. So things didn't work out. I tried, I failed, I searched up things, I failed. When I even had medical and I tried to get it too, it failed as well. And I will go into deeper about that because I feel like if you're like me and you just want to get that professional help, but you have struggled, then this is like, it's good for you to know what I've done and then how I got to where I'm at. a little bit about that is that there were even moments when I tried with my medical and they were like, oh, you need your doctor from your clinic to refer you. So it was super complicated. Everything was going back and forth. And when you are going through it, like your trauma, your stress, your depression, everything, you don't want to be dealing with all these other stuff with medical stuff. You don't want to be trying to get help and then at the end you end up with a big bill and now you're stressing about how you're going to pay that bill. So I understand you and I know where you're coming from, and I will share everything that I went through about this area if you are somebody who's trying to seek professional help but you have failed, okay? But I will tell you guys the process at the end if you're wanting to know the process. I want to share with you guys about how it was like and what we discussed, and yeah, I just want to share with you guys because it's something that's so exciting. All right, so the first few sessions, it was very awkward. You know, I was trying to get to know my therapist and she was trying to get to know me as well. I did do a survey before I had my very first session, and she told me as well that very first session was going to be, she's going to try and get to know me first. So we had a consultation, and then we had that first session where it was about getting to know me, and then we had our continuous sessions. And so yeah, I got to know her. She got to know me. I got to know her in the sense of like what kind of style of therapist she was. So she told me, and it's not for everybody, but she's definitely for me because I'm not really looking for a therapist to challenge me in a way where I'm doing like homework. I'm not really looking for that, but I'm looking for a therapist that's just educational and can confirm things that I feel or that I sense, or help me dig into deeper about myself with like all the trauma and things that I've gone through. So she was that fit for me. She told me she wasn't a therapist that gave out homework and she's not gonna force anything upon me. And then they also are very clear about like what you can tell them and what they would report if it's something like that they have to report. Okay, so if you're like me and you've only seen like therapy in movies where they're like, oh, you can tell us anything and we won't report you, and then, you know, sometimes in some movies at the end like they end up having to tell the cops and things like that. So yeah, they tell you what you can and cannot tell them. Okay, so all of that was kind of like the first the consultation in the first session, and then we kind of got deeper into why I was there. Okay, so I'm going to go over the topics that I want to share with you guys this time around about what we discussed. So she asked me why I was there, like what was my reasoning for needing it. And I shared with her that I'm going through a big transition in my life, and I feel like it will be beneficial to have support and to help me dig into things as well that I have not ever done with like a professional. So that was my reason. And then she also asked like for me to tell a little bit about myself. And of course I told her, you know, my family and like my trauma. I told her that I was a CSA survivor. She also asked me like what my goals and plans were like from the sessions, and when would I feel like I'm ready to not be going to therapy anymore. And I told her that my goals, like I don't really know when I will be good enough. I just hope that I just get as much information and education as I can about my trauma and how to overcome it. And then, you know, hopefully when I feel like it's the right moment, like I don't need to go to therapy anymore, then I think then I will stop. So I told her that I didn't have a timeline, and she was like, yeah, that's understandable. And the reason why she asked all of these things was because she needed to put it down. Unfortunately, like I know some people are very like, they don't want this on their record and things like that, but this is something that will have to go onto your record. I think it's like a medical record or something like that about how you got therapy once or something like that. And I know that it can be very like, I can't think of that word, where people don't want other people to know these kind of things, right? Like you don't want people to know that you have mental issues or things like that. But I think for me personally, as long as it's not like I'm crazy, and like I'm an addict, like it's not something apparent where it will damage me as a whole, like if I'm a felony, you know. So like I feel like it's not as bad, but people have their own opinions. But she did need, for my case at least, she did need a lot of information to help diagnose me and to say why she was giving me the therapy session, because you can't just be going just to go and then have your medical pay for you for no reason. So she did put something down for me, and I'm more than happy to share with you guys, because I'm bringing you guys all along on my journey as a CSA survivor. And this is a very big moment for me and for all of us, because if you've been journeying along with me, you know how badly I wanted this, and you know how much it means to me and how much benefit it will have for me too. So you are along with me, and this is something very big for all of us. Okay. So after I shared everything with her, she did diagnose me that she was going to put down that I have some sort of PTSD from my childhood trauma. And I agree with her that I do have signs of PTSD from my trauma, because I had nightmares. I have all these kind of anxiety and all these kind of things that still occur on a daily basis that I'm trying to get a handle on. So that's what she kind of diagnosed me and put me on a paper. And now, I guess now the whole world knows that I have PTSD. But I'm not ashamed of it, because if you've gone through something so traumatic like I have, of course you're going to come out with some sort of, problem. Like, I don't think there's ever a person out here who has gone through something traumatic and has not faced the effects of it after. Like, if you know one person, then let me know, because I don't. And I know that we're all humans. We all struggle in our own ways. So yeah, that's what she diagnosed me with. And yeah, that was kind of like the first intro session or whatever. As we kind of got deeper into our sessions and more sessions appeared, we were able to talk a lot more into the details. And for this episode, I'm not going to be sharing with you guys about my childhood trauma too much. I might share a little bit, but not too much. But there's something that I really want to share with you guys that it had me bawling my eyes out. Like the second session that I had with her. And I was bawling my eyes out, you guys, because it was just so emotional. And I don't know, something about therapy that she was just hitting a chord that was just so meaningful to me and so acknowledging. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just like she was shining light in areas that maybe I had forgotten, or maybe it just needed to be switched on again. And that thing was with my education. So she asked me like how much education I've ever received, or how was it like for me studying growing up. And this was already after she knew all my trauma, right? Like, not detail, but that I was a CSA survivor at least, and who my perpetrator was. I told her that, like, education wise, I was a A student, sometimes a B, but mostly an A student. And I said to her that I struggled because it was very hard for me to study. I couldn't focus, and I really just cheated my whole way through school. And I copied off of peers. I cheated on tests, and I cheated my way through school, and that's how I survived. And I said that my parents didn't have education like growing up either, so I didn't have support in that area as well. And she said something to me that I felt really like, wow, like I didn't even think about it like that. Like, I didn't realize that I was talking to myself in such a harsh way. I didn't think about that word cheated, that it was me being negative. Like, I always just thought that, like, it was just, yeah, I mean, I did cheat on tests and stuff, and I cheated off of my peers. I cheated my way through education, and I faced the consequences at the end because my vocabulary is limited. I don't know a lot of stuff, and I struggle. And she told me that she wanted me to acknowledge that word and like not use that word because in a way, like, it's really harsh to talk to myself in that kind of way. And that she kind of just tried to say that, you know, it's a really strong word. And she said that, you know, for somebody who went through what I went through with my trauma and who didn't have parents, who had like no education, and for me to get through school, like it was me surviving in that. If anything, it was very smart of me to survive in the way that I did. And I don't remember, or I don't even know if I've ever acknowledged myself like that. Like, I've never given myself credit for cheating off of my peers and off of, you know, because I always felt like it was wrong, you know, as an adult. Like, now I know it's wrong to cheat, and now I'm facing the consequences. But yeah, I was emotional because I am really harsh on myself. I am, you know, like, I don't give myself enough credit for how I survived, even though I faced so much growing up, and I was tortured as well, in a sense, and I didn't have the support as well, and I survived the way I did. Yeah, she gave me that acknowledgement, and I felt very, very emotional and very proud, in a sense that I survived. Of course, I'm not proud that I cheated, but I'm proud that I survived and I did what I could to survive. So there's that in the education part. And then we also went in deeper into that as well, where I told her, but, you know, yeah, I feel a sense of like failure in that area because, you know, when you have peers that you kind of grow up with and you go through school with, and you see that they're like finishing their 4-year degree, and then you quit college, you compare yourself and you feel like a failure, and you feel like you were that A student, but you only got there through cheating, and you're harsh on yourself. All those kind of things. I told my therapist that I do feel very disappointed and sad in myself, but I know that it's because of my trauma too, that I struggle with studying, and that I don't have the support that I have to as well. But, you know, I look at my peers and I'm like, well, they don't have parents that are educated as well, and they're doing it. And, you know, I make up these like I can't have an excuse, you know. And my therapist is like, well, you know, you went through something that, when she said this to me, like, I bawled my eyes out because I never really thought of it like this, or maybe I just never gave myself credit as well enough to this level. Like, I don't know if you guys sense it, but I don't hype myself up like, oh, I'm a CSA survivor. I'm so strong. Like, I have survived everything and I'm better than you. You know, like, I don't talk about myself in that kind of way. And so I don't give myself credit to like this level, I guess you can say. Like, I'm very humble about it. And yeah, I don't say that what I go through is so much harder than whatever you're going through. So when she said to me that what you went through is so much harder than getting a 4-year degree, and right there, like, I just bawled my eyes out because I was like, I never thought of it like that. Like, I never thought that what happened to me was as like hard in comparison. I always just thought that like getting a 4-year degree was hard because, you know, it's hard for me. But if people were in my shoes, like I never thought about how hard it would be for them and if they would survive too. I don't know. I just never thought of it like that. And when she said that to me, it hit a very soft spot, and I felt a lot of like, I am really hard on myself and I don't give myself enough credit for achieving as much as I have and for getting here and yeah, just being the amazing person that I am. And when she said that, I just felt so loved and so acknowledged, and it was everything that I needed to hear. And I don't know why, but I don't remember anybody saying that to me. And I myself, I don't think I've ever said that to myself, that like what I went through was so much harder than a 4-year degree. Yeah, maybe I have. I don't know, but yeah, in that moment, it meant a lot to me. I was really in awe of that my therapist was able to acknowledge me and go into these areas that I felt like I didn't give myself enough credit for, that I didn't even see that there was pain there. Like I didn't even see that I was so angry at myself too, that I had cheated, and I used that word to define what I did to survive. So that's all the stuff with my education stuff. Just a little bit about my trauma that I'll share with you guys about what we discussed. Me and my therapist discussed about, you know, how it was like for me and what happened, and to the extent of things that happened. She also asked me like the age difference between me and my perpetrator, and yeah, I will share one thing with you guys, and that is when there was a moment where I was feeling very like, you know, in doubt of myself, and she really secured my feelings that my perpetrator definitely knew better, and he knew that it was wrong because of our age difference, and yeah, I should not have any doubt in that, because you know, as a CSA survivor, there is a lot of doubt that we have because we were so young, and our memories kind of foggy, and it's not everybody, okay, but for me at least, it can be like that, and it was foggy for me. And sometimes I have these like doubts of like, is it real, or am I overthinking, or is it not? So she confirmed that for me, that you know, it is definitely that he knew better because of our age difference. He took advantage of me, and it just feels better hearing it from a professional, because it's like, well, she can't really be lying, you know, like she's a professional. She's supposed to be giving me the best advice, and she's educated, so she's not lying about it, like just to comfort me, you know. So there's a little bit about that, but I won't go into too much about my trauma, because there's a lot of area in there that I'm not ready to discuss yet, but once I am, I will be expressing that in another episode. That's all really for today. I just wanted to share with you guys about how my psychological therapy sessions have been, and you know, some of the things that were discussed on there that I just felt like maybe some people can relate to. And definitely, if you struggle in the area of comparing yourself with your peers and feeling like you are a failure, just know that things that you go through, like you are surviving and you are trying, and it's much harder than getting that degree too. So give yourself some credit. And I can't say that that's for everybody because I don't know your situation, but yeah, just learn from me that don't be too hard on yourself and give yourself credit, okay? Don't give up on psychological therapy, because I've been there. I've tried many times, failed many times, but I think that what's meant to be will be. And as long as you keep trying, then maybe it'll be your time. And even if it's too hard right now, like it's okay to not try right now and to try later on when things are not as hard on you. But I think that there's always a benefit to getting that professional help, because what do you got to lose if everything works out? You just gain knowledge and you grow at the end of the day. So if you're interested in the process, now I'm going to talk about the process. Like I said, it's been complicated. It was hard. I failed many times and medical was being complicated. I'm not going to go into the complications. I'm just going to tell you what worked, okay? If you have medical assistance, then you can go to this clinic that I'm going to. And if you want to know that information, then go ahead and reach out to me. But this is what I did, okay? I reached out to that clinic and I told them that I wanted to get therapy. And then they reached out to me. They assigned me to somebody, and me and that somebody kind of had like an email back and forth where she asked me for a consultation. And then in that consultation, we talked about medical assistance and like what kind of medical I have so that we could get like payments worked out. And she told me, what kind of therapist she is to see if she's the right fit for me. And then in that consultation, we figured all of that out. And she said that she's going to I had to take a picture of my medical card front and back and send it. I emailed it to her, and then she went and ran it. And she said that they do accept my kind of insurance. And then after that, she said that we were good to go. We can book our next sessions and we can start our therapy. And then when we had our first session, she told me that she needed to put something down because you can't just really have, you can't really be billing for therapy if you don't have a reason to. So she had to diagnose me with something and then put that down on the record. And so then that happened, and yeah, everything worked out, and she took care of everything. And then I started having my therapy sessions. There are a lot of complications when you have like no resource, and even if you have resource as well, you got to deal with your medical. You got to deal with if they will accept your medical and if your medical covers it too. All of those are just very complicated. And if you're like me, where you're going through so much in your life, you don't need to be dealing with all of that and the whole process and everything. You just want the easiest one where they do everything for you and you just start getting your therapy sessions and you know that you have medical assistance. This is the clinic for you, because they don't make it complicated. They want to help you. I think that I can sense that from this clinic, that they want to help you. I did fail a few times with them. It was a little bit complicated a few times, but eventually, like if you just continue to reach out, they will have somebody responding to you. And I think that that's what makes them different, is that they have people responding and they hold people accountable. So that's why this therapy session worked for me. And I also wanted a remote. I didn't want to do it in person because I was having like car issues. So I didn't want to do in person. So this is how I got everything to work out and how I finally got my therapy sessions going. So if you want to know the clinic, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at 𝘄𝘄𝘆.𝗬𝗲𝗍𝗍, BOSSY @gmail.com, and then just tell me if you need it, okay? All right, boss, that's it. That's all I have for this episode. I just wanted to share, this exciting news with you guys and how the session has been going. I am looking forward to sharing a lot more about things that I learn and the emotional roller coasters that I go through in my sessions, because as I said, you have been riding along with me ever since before therapy. So I just have to take you on the good stuff too, right? Okay, so that's it for today's episode. I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. And as always, stay being the bad boss that you are.